Today, we're diving into a pretty wild idea that the world map, the one you think you know, is basically breaking apart. And the lines are being redrawn right now, as we speak.
Okay, let's get right into this. That map on your wall, that globe sitting on your desk, the sources we've been digging into suggest that by 2026, they're going to be completely out of date. We're talking about shifting alliances, contested economic routes, and lines of influence being aggressively rewritten. And the key thing is, this isn't just happening by accident. Oh no, it's a deliberate, calculated process. So, if the world is being broken down and literally remade, who's the architect here? I mean, who's driving this massive global shift? It's not some committee, and it's definitely not just natural evolution. All the sources we've seen point to one single central actor pushing all of this forward.
And yeah, you guessed it, that actor is the United States. According to the research, Washington is rolling out a pretty powerful strategic doctrine designed to completely reshape the world we live in, really asserting its influence in what's becoming a much more chaotic and unpredictable place. This whole strategy even has a name, the Monroe Doctrine. It's a pretty clear nod to the old Monroe Doctrine from the 1800s, right? But here's the twist. The original doctrine was all about telling Europe to stay out of the Americas. This new version? It's global. It's a strategy for projecting power and redrawing those spheres of influence on a worldwide scale. And it uses every tool in the toolbox to do it. Military, economic, you name it. And look, this whole idea didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's really just the latest chapter in a long, long history of American strategic thinking. It all started back in 1823 with the original Monroe Doctrine. Then you fast forward to 2006, and you get these controversial ideas like Ralph Peters' Blood Borders Map, which imagined a totally new Middle East. And now, today, the Monroe Doctrine is taking that same kind of thinking and applying it to the entire planet. So, where is this all actually happening? Well, the first big testing ground seems to be Eurasia's Eastern Front. And right here, you can see the method to the madness. The US is basically using the war in Ukraine as a catalyst to completely reshape Europe's security playbook. It's pushing its NATO and EU allies to spend way more on defense, to change their priorities. It's effectively writing a new set of rules for what it means to be a good partner. And this isn't just about defense, you know? It's about redrawing the lines of power and responsibility across the entire continent. All right, next up, let's turn to the Middle East. This is a region where the idea of redrawing borders has been bubbling under the surface for decades. This quote from the source material really hits the nail on the head. It frames the strategy not just as, influencing countries, but as a deliberate plan to smash the old post-colonial system itself. The goal seems to be to dismantle the powers that be, like Iran and its network of proxies, to potentially create brand new countries and a whole new reality on the ground. So how's it done? This is the crucial part. It's basically redrawing the map by causing chaos. The US puts immense economic pressure on places like Iran, while at the same time it uses regional conflicts, like all the escalating tension between Iran, Israel, and the Houthis, to create cracks in the system. And this strategy sounds a lot like some older, more aggressive ideas about actively breaking up nations to serve your own strategic interests. But this isn't just happening in the usual conflict zones. Not at all. This doctrine is being applied to totally new frontiers, from massive economic projects to strategic bits of land that most of us probably never even thought about. Just look at how widespread this is. Over in the Indo Pacific, you've got instability around a key port in Pakistan that's threatening a massive Chinese economic project. Up in the Arctic, there's suddenly this renewed American interest in Greenland, which kind of brings back memories of those talks about just buying it. And then in the Caribbean, you have these nonstop pressure campaigns, like the one against Venezuela, that show a real commitment to enforcing who's in charge. Each one is a different way of reshaping a border. So when you add all this up, all this pressure, the strategic redrawing, it leads to some really profound and honestly pretty unsettling questions about what our world is going to look like by the end of this decade. So let's just game this out for a second. Let's think about one of the biggest what-ifs. What happens if this massive pressure campaign against Iran actually achieves its most extreme goal? You'd see a major regional power literally fall apart. That would create this huge power vacuum, a total cascade of chaos that would redraw the entire map of the Middle East, for better or for worse. And what if this just becomes the new normal, the standard playbook? What if the same model of economic pressure, proxy fights, and internal destabilization that's being aimed at Iran and Venezuela gets applied with the same intensity to other key countries like Pakistan, or maybe even to allies in the Baltics to force them into line? I mean, the potential for global instability is just huge. So, the real takeaway here is this. The lines on our maps are not nearly as permanent as we like to think they are. They're really lines of influence, of economic control, and military power. And right now, one country is actively redrawing them with a very bold, very disruptive new plan. The process has already started. The only question left is where and when it's all going to stop.